Hi everyone, before you dive into the episode, I just wanted to interrupt really quickly. You're gonna dive into this episode and you're gonna hear me call this podcast the Holistic Hustle Podcast. And that is because it used to be the old name of this podcast. And it was an amazing ride. I'm so grateful for the Holistic Hustle Podcast and what it served. But recently I've decided to rebrand the podcast based off the evolution of my own journey, my own story, and where God is calling me to go next. And so now the rebrand, which you may know already, is called Wisdom is Wealth. Didn't want you to be confused, so dive into this episode. They were an amazing episode, amazing guests, amazing insights, and enjoy.
Like there's the businesses that are connecting, making all these new connections per day for free. And then there's the businesses that aren't.
Hi, I'm Justin Buonamo, and this is Holistic Hustle. Holistic Hustle is doing things for the right reasons, working hard for the right reasons. The healthy balance of what work and progression and accomplishment and success should actually look like. Welcome back to another episode of the Holistic Hustle Podcast. I have an incredible guest here with me today by the name of Chris Baden. And so Chris is the co-founder and CEO of FlowChat. And is that an SaaS? I'm the worst with tech. SaaS company? Or is that how you pronounce it? SaaS company?
SaaS, software as a service. Nice little fun acronym for you.
Oh yeah. I probably should have clarified that before. I'm like known as Fred Flintstone when it comes to technology. So here we are. All right. So we have a SaaS company that has a unique way of acquiring new customers using organic methods. Its strategies swiftly led to over $3 million in sales in less than 2.5 years and continues to grow rapidly. When Chris isn't building businesses, he's building a lifelong marriage, world-impacting family, and competed on NBC's hit TV show American Ninja Warrior for 3 seasons. So as you can see, Chris is an incredible guest for this show. He fits the mold for Holistic Hustle so well. He's very successful professionally, right? But he's also a great human being and has success in every other area of his life, particularly the very important ones like marriage, relationships, health, wellness, and you can just feel the authenticity and the energy through him. And we've got some incredible questions today where you're really just going to see, yes, incredible human being, but very remarkable at what he does, and also just has a really, really interesting business that I think just about anybody listening to this can utilize and benefit from. So Chris, welcome to the show, man. We're pumped to have you.
Justin, you're the man. I'm excited for our convo today.
I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate it. So let's get into it, man. So I think this is so awesome. You've built this not a six-figure. Let me flip that upside down. A 9-figure tech company, which is remarkable in itself. But the level of difficulty to build a 9-figure company, let alone in the tech industry, is so darn high. So what are you most proud of yourself personally and professionally when it comes to that accomplishment?
And just for everyone listening, because I always want to be like upfront, forthright. In my bio, it's building a lifelong marriage, world impacting family, and building a 9-figure tech company. So currently my tech company is not doing 9 figures. But that is the goal. That is where I'm headed, and kind of the journey people are following me on. That said, I've built multiple companies doing multiple 7 figures. One did go into 8 figures, and it's been insane, insanely stressful and awesome and crazy. And, but that's the business side. And per your question, I've been called a lot of different names, titles, Justin, over the years, but one of my favorite things I've been called is dad. I have 3 kids, 7, 6, and 3, currently 2 boys and a girl. And yeah, I'm totally proud, more so just grateful to have 3 healthy kids. Yeah, that's absolutely insane too. We celebrated 10 years of marriage last year, and building a lifelong marriage is a whole goal in itself. And then while you're also building a family, those are they go together, but they're 2 very different goals and things. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm just like, I assume anyone else, just trying to figure it out each day, but definitely, learning as we go and having some good moments along the way.
I love that, dude. I mean, I have a couple of 7-figure companies, and it does sounds like I haven't been in business as long as you. So for you to do it multiple times while having a very successful marriage and 3 children, 2 of them very close in age, and it seems like you're doing a fantastic job with the title of husband and dad, is something to be extremely proud of yourself personally for, and something I admire and look up to, because in full transparency, man, like a big reason for this podcast is I had a lot of success professionally, right? I used to always say like I was like the president of the hustle culture and was like, by any means, I'm gonna be,
Whatever it
successful
takes.
professionally, whatever it takes. And unfortunately, whatever it took cost me, some quality years in my marriage, cost me, some quality years that could have been going towards forming a family and parenting and even my other relationships. Like I'll never forget when my mom, when I was first building this business, she was like, Justin, I haven't heard from you in 3 months. Right. And so that's just something that I admire from you, just to be successful in all of those important areas of your life, professionally and personally, man. And so congrats on the success and not just the business side of things, but in those very important personal roles that you seem to be doing a great job in too.
Well, I think two things, like when you're saying that, Justin, is one, it comes down to like, what is your goal? And my goal is to build. That's why I put it everywhere. I talk about it often. If anyone knows me, they know I'm thinking about one of three things at any given moment. It's building a lifelong marriage, a world impacting family, and a nine-figure tech company, in that order. Yeah. And so that is the goal. So there's plenty of times like yesterday when I've got calls, I'm team, and my team's over 7 different countries. And so it's like you're juggling things. Okay, but I'm having a meltdown right now. Like we homeschool. And okay, so there's a little gap between call. Like I guess I'm dad right now, but I feel I got to get this fall out. I got to I got to get back. It's stressful. You're playing multiple roles at the same time. Business has really conditioned me, fortunately or unfortunately, I think for some of that. So number one, it starts with, what is the goal? What does success look like? For me, that is what success looks like. It's focusing on those things in those order. Now, the other piece to this is, it didn't always look like that for me. I was in the whatever it takes club. And eventually, I mean, there's lots of stories and ups and downs in that journey, but it landed me in the hospital. I had ulcers, and my heart wasn't beating like regularly and properly anymore. So I'm getting blood work done. That's stressing my wife out. This is years ago, right? Earlier when we just started, to have kids. And I realized, like, man, my body's like starting to show signs of shutting down. Sure. And I guess I can't just will myself through all this. Like I had to start making different decisions, because before marriage, I just worked all of the time. So I wasn't, I would skip meals. And not that I don't know. I didn't have an ego or pride about it. I just was focused. I don't know. This was just what I did. In fact, I'm actually more embarrassed about that. Wait a minute. You've worked all this time and you've only produced this much? It's like, that's not cool. Like people like, I work 70 hours, I work 80 hours. It's like, what's cool is working 20 hours, but generating way more. And how do you work with people, and what fruit and outcome is that creating for other people? That's worth bragging or talking about.
Yeah.
But sometimes in the hustle culture, like the core of it is, look at me and look what I do. It's very self-centered, I think, at some of its like fundamentally. And so I've never really been drawn to that. But unfortunately, I didn't carry myself that way, but I was very consumed with just the mission of the goal of the business. And, when I started adding on, other relationships, areas of my life, I'm just like any other man. I couldn't juggle it all.
Right. I can relate to that so much, because I hear you. It wasn't anything ego-based. It was just like you had no other commitments and you were focused. So like the lack of having to wear the husband hat, the lack of having to wear the dad hat, like all you had to do was just worry about yourself and your business ventures, right? And so you couple that with, being in your 20s where the energy's high, testosterone's high, we're just nonstop. Like I'm not that young bull that I used to be, but back then, without those commitments, coupling it, being in that age group and testosterone being high, energy being high, right? And just so committed, right? Of course, you're gonna dump a bunch of time into business, right? Dump a bunch of time into your passion, especially when there's limited other commitments around, right? And then when you start to bake in or bring in other commitments, other important areas like relationships, like children, right? It's a hard transition. It really is. It's a hard transition to be like, oh, I can't just work 15 hours a day anymore without saying nothing to nobody. You know what I mean? I might want to check in with my wife, or I might want to, you know what I mean? I'm getting a little bit older. I might want to
Yeah.
actually sleep tonight, you know? And so, though I know that transition's hard, it seems like you've been very successful at it. And you were kind of already getting into, my second question a little bit, which I love everything you're saying, but I'd be curious that what is something that you used to believe makes you a successful human being that you no longer believe?
Oh man, that's a good one. One of the first things that comes to mind is I felt like what I saw and what I was told is that like marriage and family holds you back. And I
Mm,
don't believe that anymore.
mm.
So you hear and see, I heard, I saw, you're gonna have less time and you don't get to like hang out with the boys anymore, like do these things. I get it. Like it's not true. And like there's all these there's some level of truth to it, but like I don't know, people like kind of gripe about it or complain about it. I just think it's a really weak position and stance to take. What people didn't tell me, or what I feel like I didn't see a lot of, was the love that you have. So let me say it this way. When you're like if you're used to your sales process and you're doing, 100,000 a year in sales, or maybe it's 100,000 a month in sales, um, if someone comes up to you and says, okay, that's cool. I need you to do 1 million a month in sales now. Are you going to go do 10x the amount of calls? Like you literally can't. It doesn't work that way. It breaks your frame. You have to think different, therefore you do.
Right.
So I don't have 80 hours, 70 hours, 60 hours, whatever to quality focus work time. Yet I'm still required to produce more. And now that you have the opportunity to ask yourself that, or your brain that question, if you ask it enough and often enough and start asking other people that same question, how do you answer this question? You're going to get a much better answer. And that's what happened to me.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
like if I had to talk to my former self, it's like I have a different focus and energy and drive. The love for my kids and the marriage I'm blessed with. I'm gonna run through walls, man. Like
Right.
if it comes down to
Right.
that. And so it's not, I was so obsessed with this time, but it's like, no, like if you start focusing on producing a lot more in a lot less time, you'll do that. There's
Right.
ways to do it. So yeah, I didn't think that prior, and I think that now.
So awesome. And I can relate to that so much too as well. A lot of synchronicities here, as I'm saying. I can relate to that a ton because I can. And I just feel like you're kind of like a couple of years ahead of me when it comes to the marriage, the dad game, while balancing that with the business. And I recently, 3 months ago today, our daughter was born, right? And
Congrats, man.
thank
That's
you, man.
awesome.
And thank you. And so the marriage and the relationship, yes, it does slow you down a little bit. It does make you have to balance and care about something else besides just working all day long. But when you have a kid, it puts the brakes on your life like no other. Right. And it also, God is just showing me a new way of life, right? Through having a kid, which is like, you have to be a dad, right? More so, let me back up here a little bit. I read this book called From Wild Man to Wise Man by Richard Rohr. It's incredible. And he talks about in the book how motherly love in healthy homes, at least, right, is like it's a requirement, right? It's like they have to be with them, they have to caretake, they have to breastfeed them, right? If they're not breastfeeding them, they're feeding them somehow, some way. So it's like almost a requirement for the mom to give the love to the baby, right? When it comes to fathers, the love is a choice. Right. I have to make the choice to hold her. I have to make the choice to put my phone down when I get out of the office here in 40 minutes and spend time with her, right? I have to make the choice that, on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm planning time with the family. And so that choice shows you a new way of life. And a part of that new way of life is like having to do what we used to do business wise and even maybe even personal development wise in shorter time frames. And it's been possible the whole time, right? But if you don't have those reasons to force you to condense what you're doing into shorter time frames, a lot of times you'll never be exposed to that new way of life. And I really think the pinnacle of business is working the least you've ever worked, making the most you ever made, and having the most impact you've ever had. Right. But until you have a reason and a strong reason, a reason that's bigger than the business to force you to manipulate your life that way, to show you what's possible, it never almost happens. Right. And so I can agree with you so much on that. Like I used to believe all the time that anything outside of my business was going to be a distraction, right, from the success that I'm trying to achieve. But at the end of the day, like, why would I want that success? To have the freedom to do what I want. And with that freedom, I've just found that I just want to spend it with my family and grow and nurture them, right? The business is the tool, right? Freedom is the goal. And so you're not really free if you're just using all your extra hours to work and not choosing to spend it with your family, particularly as a father, choosing to give that life to the love to the children.
100%, man. It's well said.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
it.
Yeah, dude. And you got to have that financial freedom vehicle, right? So I always say like financial freedom is owning an asset or assets that spin you enough money each month automatically, whether you show up or not, that covers your expenses and your lifestyle. And most times for business owners like us, that asset is our business. And you've done a fantastic job, acquiring those assets and nurturing them over the years. And right now, your business flow chat seems amazing. Right. And so can you tell us a little bit about it and how it helps your clients reach their goals?
Yeah, 100%. FlowChat, simply put, is a B2B sales tool. So think of it like a prospecting tool. It helps agency owners leverage organic traffic to find and convert their next client.
So
And
needed.
this is taking place on social media. It was the genesis of it is us solving our own problem. This is how all my businesses start. I'm like, I just need this and I'll build this thing and like, hey, can I have that? Oh, this over here? Like, I guess so. And then there's like 10 more. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here's another business starting up here.
Yep.
So this pattern keeps emerging in my life. But this one was no different. We built and sold our first software company end of 2019. And we we're acquiring kind of for like our next idea. And out of it was this manual just process on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. There's some outbound, there's inbound, managing all these direct message conversations. And what we found was we wrote over 100 grand in business in like the first 30 days or so. And I'm like, okay, well, the CAC, the cost to acquire this new customer is really low. The LTV is still very high and great quality, but oh man, this is so manual. Like I don't want to do this 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
So we get VAs and we get spreadsheets and Google Docs and we're managing the thing. We're like, this is still so clunky and manual. We start looking for tech. There's like a lot of different solutions out there, but none of them, like they did one-off tasks or it was like one-off automation. And even if we found a good one, it's only on one platform. Then I have to build SOPs and train all my team on all these other platforms and tech for LinkedIn and X and Instagram, all that other. I'm like, this is a disaster. And I was like, oh no, here we go again. So we just built what we wanted. FlowChat's currently on 14 different social media platforms.
Wow.
We can anything you see on your screen, like in a couple clicks, now you can just import and you can put them in workflows or like pipelines where they're automatically sending connection, follower, friend requests. They're automatically sending direct messages. If they don't reply in a couple of days, you're automatically sending them a follow-up message. This literally went from 8 hours to like maybe 5 minutes a day.
Mm.
So this was a big deal internally. People caught wind of this, and then and obviously they want it now. Now we even white label. So some agencies are like, I just want to resell this service for $1,000 to $3,000 a month, and so we have some white label license too, if that makes sense. This is FlowChat. We're 3 years into the project. We've done 0 paid ads. We use FlowChat to grow FlowChat. I was on a call yesterday. This is a funny story. And I don't like my CMO, Sean, is amazing. He leading the sales and marketing team in front. In our CTO, Bruno, he's on the product side, crushing it. But I happened to get to jump on a demo call yesterday or connection call. And he was like, wait, but how do I know that it works? I was like, actually, my setter was talking to you in DMs, and that's why we were here. He's like, that wasn't you. I was like, no, it wasn't me. It was our system. He's like, oh, I get it. Like, I need this. And I was like, everyone does, unless you just want to. Like, there's the businesses that are making all these new connections per day for free, and then there's the businesses that aren't. And so.
It's so good though. So good.
It's that clear of a transformation. And to me, we've done paid ads, summits, webinars, like cold emails. We've done all the things. Those are great ways of acquiring. Um, and as business nerds, like we've tried to acquire in all the ways. This way in particular, we were drawn towards because it is the cheapest. So if you're just starting out and you're like, I'm not 100% sure about my offer yet, this you don't have to go light 10 grand on fire on paid ads. You can go talk to your market and get the feedback. Because listen, I see we've worked with just about over 3,000. We either passed it today or we'll pass it tomorrow. It's about 3,000 different businesses, with FlowChat. And so I have a lot of data on specific, to this specific, niche, that alone, like other past business experiences. But the idea, it's not like we're going to, as entrepreneurs, founders, we're not going to be in our room or, in the shower or going to the bathroom or something and have that epiphany moment. We have good ideas in those moments, right? But like, oh, this is what it is. The answer to all of your problems is in the mind of your market. And if you never go to them and just ask them what they want and how they want it, you'll never get the answer or no. Like you don't have to guess anymore. Most people, like they might be struggling. I was like, how long has this been a problem? They're like, a year and a half, 2 years. I was like, I literally can solve this in less than 24 hours. I'm just going to go on social. I'm going to find who you want to serve and a few clicks. And then I'm going to ask at least 10 to 20 of them this question. And then they're just going to tell me that I'm just going to go build it. And there's your business done. Like, no guessing. When you do the real work like that, there's no more guesswork, and that's really freeing for a lot of people.
Very, very, very interesting. And I've been in business now for 4 years. We work with hundreds of business owners too, as well. We do financial coaching at first, but like we don't really talk about this. But on the back end, we do business coaching, right? So like we get you in financial coaching wise. Once you have your finances in order, then it makes sense for us to shift your focus to your income, right? And a lot of times our clients' income comes from their business, so it's now time to optimize the business. Right. And so it's kind of like the journey, if you will, in a very simplistic manner. But like just so knowing business owners, particularly from not just the financial coaching side of things, but the business coaching side of things, and my own experience too, as well, and my own peers too, as well, like what you have is an incredible tool, man. That is such an awesome tool. And so I'm actually really curious. So let's just say I signed up for it, right? And I implemented it. What do I need to do to train and manage the AI? Because again, I think sometimes we have people like, I have a very unique voice, right? We have a human setter. I think you've interacted with her. Sometimes it's been me, sometimes it's been her. And like, she really knows my voice. She's very close to me. So, and which is very rare though, to have that setter this woman is a machine. The amount of messages she sends a day, right? The amount of calls that she's setting, right? It's incredible, but like, that's really hard to come by these days, let alone the output matched with the ability to sound just like me, right? But even with that, like what you're saying is still enticing, but most people don't even have the luxury of what I'm saying as a setter. And so I'd be curious, like my biggest concern with using AI in the DMs is that it's not going to sound like me. People are going to know it's AI, right?
No, it's so true. Okay, so I'm glad you asked this question because it's really important for everyone to hear. I've been using the word automation. And now there is an AI component. For example, you can click currently, like current flow chat, when you're having a conversation in DMs, we have an extension as well, and it overlays in all the different social environments. And you can click AI, assistant bot, and it will evaluate your conversation and it will present a recommended response. So it'll like do DM copy, for you. You would then just say that looks awesome and hit send, or you would critique, change it how you want and then hit send. Okay, so that's where AI currently is at with FlowChat. Now, the automation side, we have more coming on this, and I'll leak a little update here for you. But on the automation side, it's doing the auto qualifying. So say you go to a Facebook group and you want to import some of the members there because you're looking for accountants, and you go to a group full of accountants or something, right? You can import them and you can qualify them based on certain criteria automatically. That typically takes hours, but now you can just automate that whole process and you have the exact dialed in quality person that you want to talk to. You can automate sending a friend request or liking their most recent post or sending an initial message. That's so templated. Good. So you're like you said, your human, setter has been with you for a while. She says the same thing over and over and over, especially in the beginning. She would just write that down. She does that, just completely freed her up. She doesn't have to do that anymore. She just got like 10, 20 plus hours of her week back. Okay. Now, once somebody responds to the direct message conversation, like the campaign's running, we have human setters that are managing the conversation. Like the conversation, I think like you and I chatting, Justin, like my setter over my account was like, hey, you have a podcast with Justin today. Here's the conversation. And then I went back and that's why I was responding to your voice. I was like, hey, I'm just listening to these now. I don't even know if it was literally like 2 hours ago. So I don't even know if you saw those. But so that's how that process is running. However, this being said, I don't think I've said this on a podcast yet. FlowChat 2.0 is coming before the end of the year.
I love that.
And it'll have you won't like, it has the automations, but it's going to start connecting the automations to do entire workflows. And you're going to be able to attach an AI setter bot to it that responds and communicates on all 14 different social media platforms that we have. Whenever you're watching this, listening to this, if we're user driven. So if someone comes in and like, how come you don't have this platform? Like, you just request it and then we add it. The big piece about this is we also have a unified chat inbox. So it's all, you no longer have to have your team log into your socials. They just log into FlowChat and you can communicate on all of your social media platforms in one place and even have an AI bot, man. This is FlowChat 2.0.
So awesome.
Dude, I'm losing my mind over here. I'm like,
I love
live
it,
in the
dude.